In Chester County, Pennsylvania, we have basically a situation where we are right now on the outskirts of Philadelphia, and we were foreclosed upon in 2012. What makes this interesting or significant, because people get foreclosed on every day, and why should this matter at all? It's a valid question, and here's the answer. The reason why it's important is because my wife has like I said, a law degree and an MBA, and she has an understanding of business and law and the intersection between business and law. So she understands the U.S. Federal Civil and Criminal Code, the Pennsylvania Rules of Civil Procedure, but she also understands the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code. She understands the intersection between torts and contracts, and fiduciary duties, and fraud, and constructive fraud, and fraud by inducement, and God, the list goes on in terms of things that she's learned and become aware of. Now, I am an award-winning documentary filmmaker. I only say award-winning not to sound like some asshole or arrogant guy. I say it because I want to make the distinction between the fact that I can be an award-winning filmmaker who's had critical success, and I have, but I still have a hard time making a living. And right now we're having some changes in web media. I got a big deal brewing that I think will manifest and work itself out. But the point is, you know what? I'm going with my guts right now. Since I don't have a phone right now that gets me to where I need to go, I got to do this move. And I remember this move, so I'm glad I'm doing it. Okay. Anyway, make a long story short, here's the deal. In 2008, the world collapsed, and the only thing that propped up the U.S. economy was, of course, the intervention of the government as to AIG and other entities. And my dad, who was the former owner of an NFL team, he was doing a big deal over in Singapore, and Bear Stearns was financing it, and that fell through. And when that fell through, everything fell through in my family. It's very sad, and we'll get into that later, but both my family, meaning my wife and my two children, we went into foreclosure because after buying our home in 2004 and faithfully paying every $5,000 payment per month, never being late, not once, ever. So let me clarify that. A lot of people who think that are into this foreclosure defense thing, that are trying to get a free house and the freeloaders and pay your share and all that, I can't speak for others. I can only say that the following. I do believe in debts. I do believe in responsibility. I do believe in something bigger than the law called just being a gentleman or having a morality or the word being your bond. And I had no problem paying Chase every month. And then when I defaulted on the promissory note and Chase held the mortgage, which is the security interest collateral of that debt, antecedent debt. When that happened, I remember sitting there, and I'm a fairly smart guy, having, again, gone to good schools, and I have a wife who's highly educated and highly brilliant, and highly beautiful, and highly funny. And between us, we were stumped as to a first affirmative defense, or any defense to the idea that we couldn't pay this loan back, right? It's simple. It's like a murder. It's like being caught, with the smoking gun in a murder case. You're done. There's nothing you can do. We're gonna lose the house, okay? Well, that was not how it went. How did it go? Well, that's what I'm about to explain to everyone here. What happened from 2008 to 2013 that finds ourselves here in a late day in May of 2013, where I am at the greatest single crossroads of my life, the greatest single wiggy, stressful, sometimes I think I'm one of a nervous breakdown, sometimes I feel completely empowered that I can beat them, sometimes I have all the confidence in the world, and sometimes I feel like a scared little 8-year-old, because I am fighting the largest bank in the world, and I'm doing it alone, and I'm estranged emotionally right now from my parents and my friends. And I have a hard time making money because of the nature of my business, not the level of my work ethic or the hours I put in. And I've beat these guys. Chase, their last action, 2009. The last action, 2009, we went through 2 years of pre-litigation discovery and all these interrogatories and all of these things that you do prior to a trial. And, well, I'll just ask the audience, okay? If you were suing someone for something and you went through 2 years of evidence gathering, what is the only condition in which you, as the plaintiff, as the one that started it, as the injured party, quote unquote, under what condition would you dismiss the case, meaning not go to trial after all this discovery, this time and effort, and all these lawyers you paid? Why would you not go to trial? What's the simplest reason? Why would a prosecutor not go to trial after they arrest Joe X for a murder, okay? And they go through all the discovery and everything, and before they get to trial, they don't want to go to trial, the prosecution, the DA. In both cases, why would these people not want to, these plaintiffs, these prosecutors? There's only one reason. Has everyone got the answer? Right? Do you? I hope you do, right? Okay, the answer is, right? What is it? What is it? This scares me. I feel like I'm lost. Anyway, the answer is this. Wide load. The answer is that the prosecutor doesn't go after the guy at trial, his suspect, if the evidence isn't there and he can't win. The civil litigant, the civil plaintiff, the bank, the foreclosing party, the only reason they don't go forward at trial is why? Because they don't own the note. Because they don't have what's called standing to bring suit. Because they are not the holder in due course. Because they are not a lot of fancy fucking names for the same thing. They have no right because they don't own the note. Why don't they own the note? Because they sold it. Why'd they sell it? Because back then it was really cool to get a lot of mortgages, which individually only squeaked out, let's say, a couple points a year. But if we put them all and bundle them together, we can sell them as something called exotic derivative debt instruments that are organized into offerings and tranches that I believe I'm pronouncing it right, that basically correspond to risk levels, interest rates, amounts, the quality of the collateral, the nature of the collateral, it was a brainchild of some, hotshot Harvard or Yale asshole who figured out how to take the fractional reserve style of the banks, where you take $1 and you lend 10, or just the pure fiat idea of the Federal Reserve and just pretty much print money. And they basically took all these loans, which, by the way, are not loans. Why are they not loans? Because the banks didn't lend their own money. Yes, they didn't lend their own money. What are you talking about? What I'm saying is they didn't lend their own money, and I know that. And they didn't lend their own money for one reason, because they create credit from your signature, and in creating that credit from your signature on the loan documents, they make an electronic ledger entry into the books of their bank or another bank if you're buying the home. And to make a long story short, you are not essentially getting a loan, and they are not exposing themselves to any kind of risk in that sense. But more on that later. At the end of the day, JP Morgan Chase has no standing to bring this case, but they are, and they filed a case. I'm going to go through all the big case later. 2009, after 2 years of case, which they withdrew, waited 2 years, and then in June of 2012, they refiled their third action, and then they sat on their hands for 10 more months, and then in April 17th, they went and obtained, without the 10-day mandatory notice that they had to send us. Without doing that, they walked in there, obtained an $800,000 judgment by the prothonotary, which is the clerk, essentially, or the person that signed things. Great people, prothonotaries. They're not allowed by law to sign judgments that big, that involve equitable relief of that level. So, in other words, no judge signed off. This is a judicial state of foreclosure, yet no judge signed off, even though the presiding judge, get this, has the unique distinction of being a judge who oversaw my case, see, in my case, I just passed a cop, and that was uncomfortable to me. I didn't feel good about that. And I'm lost right now. Now I'm getting annoyed. I'm doing this, and I'm distracted. All right, I'm going to stop doing this right now. I'm just going to say the following, that I need help getting to where I'm going, so Lord, can you help me get to where I'm going? I need help where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going, and it's troubling me.